Headed into the series, the Warriors prioritized Clint Capella in the lob threat. It's a 92% completion rate when Harden throws that lob to Clint Capella. And so rightfully so, the Warriors' game plan was to take that away, and they've done so very successfully. But the unintended consequence of loading up and taking away the lob threat has been unlocking Eric Gordon. Take a look at this defensive possession. Draymond is pretty much zoned up on the strong side, leaving Durant with 2 on the weak side. Durant follows the game plan and chooses to stop Capella at the rim, which was very successful through 2 games, but you can't stay with the same strategy through a complete playoff series. Is it time to now focus on Eric Gordon? Watch Klay is worried about a Capella roll once again here in transition, drops for a split second, and Eric Gordon just needs a split second to get off the deep 3 ball. I think it's time to readjust and prioritize running Eric Gordon off the 3-point line. I know he's fully capable of finishing at the rim, but once again, it's a math problem. Watch Iguodala come from the weak side here to challenge, and then Steph Curry, looking at Gordon, doesn't even get a hand up. I'd like to see them shift their focus and pay more attention to a player in Eric Gordon, who you could argue is their second best player. In games 1 and 2, the Warriors did a decent job of keeping Steph off Harden. He would show hard, and then Iguodala or the other primary defender would quickly switch back onto Harden, and Steph would scramble back and help wherever he could. But as the series has gone on, Houston has realized the strategy and made the proper adjustments. Here's what it looked like in game 3 after Harden had already seen the strategy for 2 games. He quickly makes the pass to Rivers. Steph, miscommunication with Draymond, wants another switch, and Rivers is left with a wide open 3 in a tight game down the stretch. Now let's bring it back and see how they can adjust this strategy. One way to change things would be to soft hedge rather than hard hedge. I'm gonna hold it right here. You see Steph's getting ready to come out. He doesn't necessarily need to come out as far as he does on Harden this deep out on the floor, because what it does is it kind of shows his hand early. Watch, he jumps way out and Harden immediately knows what's happening. So right here, he may not know where Iguodala is, but he knows Iguodala's waiting to get back onto him, so the pass is gonna be there regardless. His mind is made up, it's an easy decision. So moving forward, perhaps showing him a different look and not hedging as hard may cause some hesitation, at least initially. That will present its own set of problems, but the key is to remain dynamic and not show Harden the same look over and over again. Back to the first defensive sequence I showed you. This was actually a switch rather than a hedge. Curry switches onto Harden and then hold it right here. Let Iguodala make the decision. Curry switch, and then Iguodala, who has a better view of what's going on, can determine when he's gonna pounce back and make the switch. Take the decision out of Steph's hands and let the primary defender on Harden determine when they want to switch back. Here's this instance where Curry switches, but then he tries to determine when they're going to switch back, and Draymond is not quite ready for it. There's the switch. Now Steph wants to switch back, but Draymond wasn't quite ready. Too much space, and Harden hits the 3 ball. The final look they can give Harden is just make the switch and let the help. There's been times in the past where Curry's done more than an admirable job on Harden. I understand they want to avoid the foul trouble, but the reality is you have 2 of the greatest help defenders of all time behind Curry and Draymond and Iguodala. Make the switch and let the help and do their thing. Now, changing your strategy and remaining dynamic always sounds good in theory, but why teams are hesitant to do so is because it not only confuses the offense, but it confuses your defense, and it allows more room for miscommunications and errors if not everybody understands what strategy is being employed at that moment. My favorite saying, the devil's in the details. If you're looking to peel back the layers of the real strategies throughout these playoffs, I highly encourage you to check out my Patreon. I've got full game breakdowns of every Warrior game and every big playoff game throughout these playoffs.
I've been winning so long, it's like alchemy.